There is no one particular way to be. It is more so about your frequency. Had I been in a low vibration, reacted negatively, I wouldn't have been in the frequency bandwidth to receive the guidance and instruction to navigate the chaos.
Is this a year where we should be more aware of who we're bringing into our life and why?
I'm not fully my old self, but I'm not quite my new self, so who am I?
It also changes completely the field that we emit.
So when I respect lower vibrations, when I understand the role that they play, when I understand why they exist, that's also a part of the reclamation of your power.
When it comes to that realization, where do you go next as to making the clear decision that your soul is asking you to make?
You can never truly know the ripple effect of saying yes. It's exponential.
Family, I wanted to just take a moment to pause here. Many of us are feeling the sense that the way that we've been creating, building, expressing, something about it no longer seems to be working. We've been taught to create from pressure, effort, performance. But through a very powerful transmission with a previous guest, Ann Tucker, where she channels the mother of creation, it became evident that we are at a turning point. Creation is changing direction. And for the first time ever, Ann and I are coming together for a live initiation called the Freedom Project. This is a 3-week journey designed to dissolve fear-based creation and restore freedom from an internal lived state so that creation becomes natural again. This isn't about learning new techniques. It's about removing what's been quietly blocking your authentic creative channel. If you feel that pull into more truth, freedom, and coherence in the way that you live and create, you can join Ann and I now for our 3-week initiation. We'll be starting in a few weeks. The link to sign up is in the description, or you can scan the QR code on screen right now, and I will see you inside.
Erin Lyons, welcome back on Just Tap In. What are you most excited about right now globally and in your life?
Globally, I'm excited to witness more people step into a higher frequency of spiritual maturity. I'll talk about that today, but there's a balancing, a great balancing that I see taking place with my clients and people in my audience. And so that shifts the collective, that quantum jumps us into a different version of Earth that we can all co-create together. So we're evolving out of some infancy. That's really exciting. On a personal level, and it really goes hand in hand, I'm opening a spiritual wellness studio here in San Diego, California, and we're combining frequency technology with grounded spiritual life coaching, but also the psychic intuitive guidance as well. So those things are new and exciting.
Amazing. Like I told you, I'm definitely going to be one of those people that go there and visit the center. And if we do, maybe we'll do a little meetup with the communities, and that'll be something fun. We'll announce it. But going back to what you said, that kind of caught my attention was the spiritual maturity that you're seeing. If we want to just unravel that a little bit deeper as to what you're sensing and feeling into the collective and what that actually looks like in an individual's life.
Yeah. I'm seeing it in two ways. On one end, there's an integration, right? I saw somebody post something on Instagram a few weeks ago, and they were like showing when they first had their spiritual awakening and they felt the need to shave their head or dress extremely ceremonially all the time and have this sort of radical change in their outward appearance. And then they had it side by side with reintegrating, maybe it's streetwear or some of the things they haven't worn since they were in their earlier 20s. And it's not that either one is wrong or right, but it just shows a spiritual maturity that there is no box, right? There is no look. There is no one particular way to be. It is more so about your frequency. So I'm seeing that. And then on the other end, there's an acceptance that the other side or the darkness does exist. And oftentimes people in the spiritual community have avoided talking about the shadow, right? So that's something that I'm seeing come up in community, in ceremony and gatherings, especially myself as a shaman. I had to do actual exorcisms last year with real demonic entity fully expressed. But that also is just revealing that the frequency is getting so high that everything that is not love, it can no longer hide or lie dormant within people.
Definitely. And I feel, especially for me hosting this channel, I get to bring on people and voices that can also speak into lower dimensional aspects. You call it low angelic as well. Going into that specifically, because I feel like that's a wormhole we've never opened up before together.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel also that is serving the evolution as well? The more that this appears in your field, that you're seeing it and sensing into it.
You know, I'll speak from my own lived experience. Advanced entity confrontation, it opened up a higher degree of absolute trust and faith in the light. So think about Hollywood and the movies we see, like The Conjuring, and we see, you know, it imprints a fear of that side of things. And so people hide from it or they run away from it. But in the running away, you sort of create the boogeyman in your own consciousness, which then manifests in other shadow ways in your life. But having to fully confront, fully, you know, be face to face with some of these things, it tapped me into a deeper level of, I fully believe in the love and power of Source God, and that supreme consciousness can send away, shift, cast out anything, any lower dimensional aspect that may present itself, and send it back to its proper place within existence.
One thing that we hear over and over again is that the light always wins. And I feel like that has been just a commonly accepted notion and belief system as well. And I wanted to ask you deeper into those roots as to why. Why does the light always win?
Because the light is all there is. We allow, source consciousness allows the lower frequency spectrum of things to exist, or else the experience of totality and creation itself would not be fully complete and whole. So when I respect lower vibrations, when I understand the role that they play, when I understand why they exist, that's also a part of the reclamation of your power.
It also changes completely the field that we emit once we either integrate and let go of these aspects. We've talked before about how you have a future version of yourself that is 50 years out that does communicate with you sometimes and brings through messages. One of those is that in the future, in the new earth, or the new earth that is beginning to stabilize more and more, we will begin using auric field evaluation.
I love this. Yeah.
What is that?
It's interesting you brought that up, because that's one of the main things we're going to be doing at my holistic healing studio. So essentially there are 32 layers of the auric field, and each layer connects into a differing dimension. But when you get an understanding of the aura and how to recalibrate it, you can start shifting some of the imprints, some of the even connecting into past lives or parallel lives to assist you with living in your fullest potential here. So that's your soul gifts activating. That's interdimensional travel. There's a whole array of things that correlate to the auric field.
And you mentioned how you're bringing through these spiritual technologies into the center as well, and in your work. And last time as well, when you were in channel state, where there's a moment where Source referred to relationships as technology. And this will be actually released around Valentine's. And I wanted to
oh, I love that.
see in what ways relationships are or can be utilized as a technological force in our life as well, and how you came to that realization.
Relationships are simply mirrors. So two things are happening. You are exchanging a gift. Each person has a gift for each other. And when the gift has been received, then it's time to move on. But the mirror is also showing you where, oh, this is so good. Source is breaking this through, the capacity to love more. So I'll use my own marriage as an example. So I've been married for about 1.5 years now. So that, I'm still kind of new in the game, but we may be thinking my perfect person in relationship looks like this. They have to have this. They have to look like this. They have to be at this particular point in their life. And the reality is, your actual soulmate or the person that you're calling in, they may bring something that you thought you wouldn't have the capacity to deal with, but through the vehicle of unconditional love, you expand yourself as the container and the vessel for love, and you can be on a journey of ascension and growth together. So you're seeing where they need to grow, they're seeing where you need to grow. But if this is the person you're meant to co-create with over a long period of time, that growth will start to take place with acceptance, with non-judgment, and getting out of the old ways of thinking that says I'm looking for a perfect person. That actually doesn't exist.
And ultimately what you said there is that it's coming back to you because it increases your capacity to love more. Why is that exactly? When we get to love more by being with a person that is showing us our mirror and who we are.
If I accept the things in you that my ego may choose to see as flaws, I also accept myself, because we are all one consciousness. So it collapses separation and it creates true intimacy. Most people on the planet are lonely because they don't allow themselves to experience real intimacy, which is beyond flaws, beyond expectations, beyond what we think someone else should be, or even what ourselves should be. Beyond that, there's a deeper silence, a deeper soul connection that permeates the mind. And then that's when you move past the barrier of the judgment, really, you accept things in a person, but it also allows you to accept things in yourself, because none of us are perfect in a sense of, we all are on a path of growing, evolving. So making this practical for people to approach relationships, instead of asking, what can this person give me? Ask, am I willing to grow with them? Because that's what relationships are.
I'm also starting to become more aware of the people and the template of the person and the people that I'm bringing into my life right now. And I know you bridge a lot of numerology into your work as well. So when you were doing this review of the year 2025 into 2026, ending a 9 year, starting a 1 year, essentially, if you add up the numbers, you said that right now in this 1 year, lots of soul tribe and soul family is coming in right now to support the new foundations for the next 10 years. So is this a year where we should be more aware of who we're bringing into our life and why?
When I scan the field, it feels like a legacy building year, a foundation for whatever your soul's blueprint and mission is. And so when we build a foundation, we have to calibrate and call in the souls who have that joint mission. So it's almost like we all have this dormant sort of coding or soul map, so to speak. And at different points, when it's time for that next stage of the mission to activate, it ripples throughout the field with anyone else who's also a part of that. And thus we start falling into sync, because nobody can build anything alone, right? So and it doesn't mean that other people in your life weren't also soul family or soul tribe, just for that particular time in your life. And now that you're shifting, all of us, myself included, we're shifting into the next phase of the mission. Okay, the people who can hold the vibration of that new architecture, they start to vibrate in. But it also doesn't mean that it's all sunshine and rainbows. You know, that always seems to be the lesson for me, is each level comes with new challenges, even with your soul tribe.
Yeah. You mentioned the next stage of our missions being activated. And when it comes to the timing of these things, what do you feel actually determines that? Because there's this conversation around, there are certain things in your life that are written, that are set in stone, that your soul actually came down with that blueprint to experience. What determines for you, in your perspective, when these next stages of the mission get activated in our life? Or how can we know?
I see it as your capacity. So just because it's in the blueprint or the soul map, it doesn't mean that on a consciousness level, you have integrated lessons and experiences to be ready. So there's always this getting ready, like source is always guiding us to the relationship or the job or experiences that we need to expand us into being able to hold the next part of that mission. And so I see that as always happening. It actually never stops happening. And you can recognize when that new level is opening up, when I was gonna use a swear word. When things start,
you can. This is a
okay.
A PG-13.
Authentically, when shit hits the fan, when everything it's chaotic, when maybe you've been in a state of comfort and peace, and you're like, I'm a yogic guru. Things have been perfect, and now all of a sudden, the chaos is showing up. But that usually is just because the field has to destabilize. The matrix has to reorganize itself, so things start falling apart a little bit. But that is a sure sign that something new is activating when things start going wrong. But and also it's a bit of a test. How do you react? If you react negatively, the universe goes, okay, we can see where the blind spots are. And maybe instead of quantum leaping into the highest potential or version of the mission, you need a few other experiences to calibrate you.
We were just talking before getting started, actually, an experience that we both went through that relates to a lot of this work is both of our YouTube channels were hacked around the same time, maybe just a few weeks in between. And you were a great help and assistance in that. But I wanted to ask you, as an example, if we can take that experience and that example, how do you feel that catapulted you when your whole channel and mine as well were taken off of YouTube essentially, and we're here, we're serving, we're putting out content and messages. What do you feel activated in you then?
Moments like that show you where you are. There's a lot of absorbing information and binge watching, and people are at home and watching TV or watching me and you on YouTube, these types of things. But when you get presented with a real world experience, it shows you where you are. So what happened for me is I went into a little bit of shock, and I allowed my authentic emotions to come through, but with intention, not allowing myself to be consumed, right? So what that looked like for me was a bit of a freak out, going through this can't be happening. Are you kidding me right now? Because I was getting ready to catch a flight, so I couldn't even be fully present with trying to resolve it. But then on the other side, because I just know how Source likes to play with me, I start playing into, oh, well, if it's gone, this is a sure sign that something off my radar screen, or even bigger, like a bigger quantum potential, is coming in so fast that this is just a complete dissolution and disappearing of an old timeline. And I consciously chose to engage that. Something else I did on the plane, because there was like a 5-hour plane ride to Florida from California, I decided to celebrate the outcome that I wanted before it happened. I ordered a glass of wine, so my husband's next to me, and I'm like, let's just celebrate the win now. And we're joking, we're laughing. But in me activating that higher frequency and not allowing myself to be pulled down, I started channeling things that I needed to do to get the channel back. Instead of surrendering to that timeline, I go, because at first they weren't trying to give it back to me. And I'm like, I'm not accepting this as my reality. So I'm going to start celebrating and engaging and lifting my frequency, which made me what? Receptive to the steps to be downloaded. And so Source went, and my high angelic guides, see if you can access a live chat where you can talk to someone. And I go, okay, let me figure out how to do that. Luckily, I had another YouTube channel and I was able to do that. And then they say, well, hey, you actually need to get in touch with this specific team within YouTube. Had I been in a low vibration, reacted negatively, I wouldn't have been in the frequency bandwidth to receive the guidance and instruction to navigate the chaos. And that's how it worked for me. And so I guess ultimately it taught me, it showed me where I was. And I'm pretty proud. I'm pretty proud of where I am.
We passed the test.
We passed the test. And I think it was also a glitch in the matrix where after that, 100%, I felt like I was on a new timeline. That's still showing me what this timeline is. But it was like a vibrate out and a vibrate in, and that's how it works.
And this applies to every single person that is listening to this, because essentially in the experience we both went through, it ultimately came down to an internal state shift and then had an outward ripple, because immediately YouTube told me, we're taking down your channel. There was suspicious activity because we were hacked, of course.
Gone.
And someone was live streaming a Bitcoin video on the channel. And so I'm sorry if you had to watch that. But anyways, it really teaches you to go back to, okay, what is the situation? YouTube told me this might take up to 72 hours. And I had a video coming out the next day and kind of just accepting the reality. And I was like, exactly what you said. I'm not accepting this as my current reality. But I couldn't really do a lot. There was just, I could send a message to what Erin kindly sent me, was a form when you were hijacked, filled it out. And then I was like, all right, I'm just going to let it go.
Surrender.
And also I went with a friend. We had a glass of wine. So very crazy how
the parallels. Yeah, the parallels.
And immediately when we get to the place, I check and the channel's back. And so it was a combination of just this letting go, celebrating the state that we want to be in, and actually embodying it, inhabiting it. Because, if I just got robbed, I don't know, $100,000, would I be going to drink a glass of wine with friends? Like, is that what I'd really be doing? But the me that had that amount of money and had the channel and had all of these things would be celebrating, would be out with his friends, having a glass of wine. And so ultimately your internal is reflecting outwardly into that experience to create a ripple, in the matrix.
And as it was happening, I got a very clear channeled message: write these steps down. Someone's going to need it. 1 week later, or maybe it was 2 weeks later, you reached out and I had exactly what you needed. And I feel Source coming through with this message. We can use any situation, occurrence to shift energy in the matrix, shift timelines, and get two people to have a conversation, because the ripple effect of this conversation will help many. That's why it's very important when the chaos presents itself, you choose to see it as divine intelligence at work behind your comprehension. Do not react, and then you will activate the highest timeline unfolding of the experience. So we just co-created that without without even trying. Source created it through us, and so here we are.
I love it. And I had a question as well, as to, you've gone through many different phases in your career, starting in Wall Street banking and finance. Yeah. Why do you feel you've been able to reinvent yourself so many times?
I love the game of creation and reality, meaning it's fun for me to decide, who does my character become next? And when you relate to reality as an infinite game within your own consciousness, you're just exploring infinite possibility within yourself. None of this is outside of yourself. It's all a holographic outward projection of what's happening on the inside. And reality is just dropping you into different slots and frames to get you to have a new desire. So if a new desire is born from me that says, I'm shifting from the Wall Street banker, wealth manager, to the girl who channels light language and aliens and Source, and I had to relate to that unfolding in a way that it was fun and freeing, as opposed to allowing my ego to feel fear. It's just a never-ending expansion. And so that would be my advice to anyone who feels stuck in between timelines or versions of themselves. Don't relate to it in like a task-oriented way. Well, I have to become this person now. I get to become someone new.
I also sort of, in many ways, feel that I'm in an in-between at this time. And I can feel that many people relate, especially because, the new year really starts, much later than January. And so this period of winter is like, go back into yourself. And I even had a virus that hit me for 2 weeks straight that allowed me all this time to reflect and let go of certain things in my life. And so I wanted to speak into that in between for someone that maybe doesn't feel stuck in it, but knows that they're in it and knows that it has a purpose.
Yeah, there's something more. You can feel, I'm not fully my old self, but I'm not quite my new self. So who am I? Who am I? Well, really, beneath all of the labels, you are just pure consciousness. So to get unstuck, release the attachment, the label, the expectation, even of what you think the new next self looks like, and sit in presence with whatever is occurring now. Because each moment is going to lead you to the next moment. We're in a now we're in another now, we're in another now. We only have right now. Thinking about the past or thinking about the future is what actually fractals the energy and compartmentalizes and puts you in a state that says, who am I? If I just know I am spirit, I am consciousness, I'm just going to be whatever I am right now, it will just happen organically. So I think as humans, we are so programmed to do. So when you're in this in-between time, it's like, well, what do I do? But you actually do nothing. And that's the hard part. in the doing nothing and just being and living and having a glass of wine with your friend, and there's no strategy, or if the virus presents itself and takes me out, I surrender to that. It will all just take you where it needs to take you.
You had a sort of intervention in Instagram Live where you brought someone on and they shared the story with you, and you had this clear message that came through that was, you doubt what is waiting for you. And I really wanted to speak into that as well, because we know that there is inevitably something on the other side of this.
Yes.
But why do we drop into, at times, the state of doubt into what is actually coming for us can actually be even better than what was happening before?
That's just the subconscious memory of what has gone wrong in the past. That's it. So if you're someone who has consistently experienced failure or betrayal or being let down, how can you believe? How can you be certain that something new can happen? The best way to shift that mindset is to recognize that whatever you experienced in the past, you created from an unawareness, from unconsciousness. And so you don't have to be expecting that the same story needs to play out. I'm going to give everybody a simple technique right here that just can instantaneously drop you into the quantum field. It's very simple. You just say out loud, anything can happen right now. Kind of repeat it like a mantra. Anything can happen right now. Anything can happen right now. Anything. And it starts expanding you beyond what the ego expects to happen again based on a past experience. Now, this is where, some frequency technology can come in to rewire neural pathways and trauma memory stored in the body and the cells and the subconsciousness. Plant medicine, that's what that is also great for. But a simple quantum technology, anything can happen right now. And you start to loosen up the grip that the matrix has on you. The linearity of, well, it's going to happen this way and it's going to happen that way, and then that will happen. And so now you have a negative expectation. You can always recalibrate that and come back to your I am, which is the infinite source that is everywhere all the time at the same time. And all of these parallel frames of existence, they are here and now. Okay, well, if they all exist now, why do I have to expect that the same thing will happen?
It's infinite possibilities as well. And I think as a collective, we're moving away from this linear thinking mindset and dimensionally limiting us to one reality. Whereas, and we talked about this last time, you said that bilocation, even trilocation, is going to become more of a norm in the new human. What are those capabilities asking us to remember about ourselves, going forward?
Oof, yeah. Source is bringing through. You are everywhere all the time right now. Meaning your oversoul. The highest frequency and consciousness that is your soul is everywhere all the time right now. It's just your human self that is confined to this dimensional experience. But as that starts to shift and we start to get more access to multidimensionality, we can just choose. It's a choice. Oh, I love that. It's a choice that we can decide, I will now experience myself in multiple planes of existence. But we have to be ready, because holding simultaneous realities in your being requires spiritual maturity.
In what way?
So we're getting there. The understanding of the light and dark we were talking about, the awareness of totality, the duality within totality, the everything. You see, if you If you're spiritually immature and you only want to experience what your ego thinks is the light, the good things, and you're not ready to also experience chaos, you're not ready to experience other timelines or dimensions.
Hold on, my light went out. It'll be back.
Okay.
It'll be back. I'm in Colombia.
Okay. No worries. Is that a normal thing there?
It's actually happened like 4 times this week. Thankfully, I'm connected to like directly to the Wi-Fi source. There, we're back. Hold on 1 second.
We just jumped a timeline. That's it. We're being
I'm actually down.
Something.
I'm actually down to just leave that in the podcast.
Okay.
Because that was kind of interesting. It usually happens
That's
when we're working with
glitch in real time.
There it is.
That's what that is.
If you needed the proof. Wow. I love how you were bringing up choice. And we're constantly choosing. But I wanted to ask you if you feel right now, as we're entering this new year, are there choices that carry more weight than they did in the past?
Let me really feel into that. We're coming up on a significant shift where time, it's running out in a sense of, if you keep making the same mistake again and again and again and again and again, you're choosing not to integrate the lesson. Or I'll give something more practical and grounded that's coming through. Let's say you're choosing to stay in a relationship that you know you've vibrationally outgrown. It's been 20 years. You know you need to file the divorce. You know you need to move on. Okay. What happens is you will manifest a version of chaos because your soul is trying to shake you and doesn't want to waste the time that you have on this planet in this physical encasement. So your soul, your higher self, is always trying to work with you to get you on the highest timeline. And at a certain point, something dramatic can happen. So a lot of the chaos that people are experiencing is that they haven't been honoring that they have a choice. And they've been allowing the lower aspects to keep them stuck in recurring timeline loops. There's almost like this, I'm hearing this as sacred responsibility as a conscious co-creator with the universes, to honor that you have a choice through not essentially ignoring that it exists, just living on autopilot, living on repeat, honoring your sacred choice.
I really want to bring up there that you said, in many ways, time could be running out. We're going through such an accelerated time right now. We brought in, aspects in our last conversation around New Earth and how that future version of you has communicated back many instances and possibilities of what that fully is and fully looks like. What do you really mean when you say that the time is running out?
Yeah. So time is an illusion. It doesn't exist. However, in the dimensional landscape of humanness and the Earth game experience is what we like to call it, experiencing Earth, we are still experiencing linearity. So if you continue to make the same choices, your higher self may say, okay, you're going to manifest a heart attack and die because you're not choosing to use your time here in a productive way. So not that time itself ever really runs out, but see, this is the spiritual maturity, the balance. It's not just, oh, I've got my free will and I can do whatever the hell I want to do all the time. No, there are checks and balances in the universe. And at a certain point in time, if you're not honoring your free will in a way that is productive, different things can happen. But it's not a punishment. It's your own soul saying, this isn't productive. Let's go another route. Maybe you need to come back to the non-physical, recalibrate, remember who you are, and then choose your next experience. So that's what the time running out part means.
Yeah. Every time I see chaos in my external reality, either I check in, is that something internal? Like, am I manifesting something that is causing this chaos? Or is my oversoul right now directly shaking me, like you said before, to get me to just open my eyes and say, okay, what about my current reality is no longer fully aligned? When it comes to that realization, where do you go next as to making the clear decisions that your soul is asking you to make?
This is so simple, Emilio. It's so simple. Radical honesty. Oftentimes when I work with people, the truth or the guidance that's coming through, oftentimes it's not something that they don't already know within themselves. I'm just reflecting it. I'm just the mirror to reflect it, who's in a high enough vibration to bring through truth. We are already encoded with the next step, but there may be an attachment. There may be wounds or traumas that prevent us from moving past them. So I think the relationship example was perfect, or staying in the same job. You are feeling lifeless. You are no longer inspired. You're no longer feeling passion or creativity. But for whatever reason, your ego could be telling you, well, I'm not good enough for the next thing, or I don't know how. Those types of thoughts and beliefs and ways of relating to reality will keep you stuck somewhere. When if you just trusted yourself and you told the truth about, I'm no longer happy, and you stop pretending, and then you move forward.
Pretending is the big word there, because sometimes it's really challenging to know whether we are pretending a facade of happiness in our life, or whether we're not. And where do you identify internally when you might be in circumstances where you feel like it's a facade, it's a pretending that I'm in?
Yeah. This is the tool I like to engage. If you are feeling more stress, fear, worry than excitement, joy, expansion, that's a sure sign that something needs to change. Now, it always doesn't look like you have to leave a job or end a relationship or move somewhere new. Maybe there are just changes that need to happen in the dynamic and you would be more fulfilled. But being honest about how you feel, what's happening, and your body is always communicating with you, right? Your higher self is dropping electrical signals or impulses that your body translates as emotions, and the emotions are letting you know where you fall on the frequency scale. If it's happiness and joy, it's in alignment. If it's fear, if it's worry, if it's stress, if it's okay, something's happening. Just be honest about it. What I see oftentimes as well is there's a shame or a not wanting to hurt other people. So we can pretend or prolong something because we don't want to hurt other people. But here's the thing. When it comes to that, what you're saying is, I don't believe that they also create their reality without me. So I need to stay. I need to be the sacrificial lamb, right? There have been so many clients that I've worked with who they want to leave a job or something like that, but they're like, but what will my team do without me? And I'm like, the person who's now in alignment with what they have going on will vibrate in. So a part of it is, we don't truly believe that everyone here is a powerful creator. So we will insert ourselves to be the savior.
This is such a profound realization that I came to recently as well, very personal. You're talking directly to my soul, right? And it's so interesting because what you said about, not truly believing that others around us are their own sovereign, powerful creators in their reality.
Yes.
That is a huge paradigm shift as well, because we know, what we're capable of because we've consistently proved to ourselves what it's like to be a creator, right? And once you have proof, you have confidence. But when you're not in another person's shoes, you don't necessarily have that proof. But do we really need that proof to know that someone is a powerful creator?
You give them the opportunity to show themselves, because that's really what they want. And that may be your gift to them, is that you break a pattern of codependency, and maybe at first what feels like heartbreak just collapses them back into a part of themselves they've been looking for.
Yeah.
I want to use the example of becoming a mom. Having a pure, innocent child that I love unconditionally, that I'm responsible for, but that I can't be with him every single second of the day, right? Because I have to work, my husband has to work. So that's just the reality of life on earth. And I really struggled in the beginning with feeling that he was divinely held and safe, right? Like, well, if I'm not there, without me. And so Source started having me recalibrate and do this rephrase of, he's a powerful creator. He's creating his reality with every thought, with every breath. There's so much goodness around him. There's so much love around him. There's so much safety around him. And it really helped me understand that from the very beginning, I have to teach him that he's a powerful creator, because it's going to be his thoughts, it's going to be his beliefs, it's going to be his confidence in his ability to create reality that is the unconditional safety. None of us can grant anybody unconditional safety. It comes from their direct connection. And if we believe that they have a direct connection, and we prime that and we mold that and we teach that, we start teaching that in our societies, people will experience the realities that they desire. And so we get to focus on ourselves. And obviously being a parent is different. I'm going to always be focused on him, but in other dynamics of relationships of how that can show up.
I am really curious and excited to see how our generation, especially those that have awakened to that I am and into a conscious way of approaching life, raise their children. And when the time it comes for me, I'm excited to see that as well for myself, because it was actually my mom that led me to this awakening, to these concepts, and to all of this. So I feel like mothers are like the pillar of a household and carry so much of that, imprint of the spirituality aspect, especially. So going into, you've been a mom now for how long?
16 months to be exact.
16 months. Wow. I mean, very recently. I remember the first interview you were pregnant. We did. So
yeah.
Just about to pop him out,
Literally.
You're like, it could happen right now. So what's it been like for you? Because I know you've spoken into that deep soul contract you've had with Seven. And what's it been like for you to raise this new wave of children and what he represents as his generation as well?
Gosh, there's so many things. I'm just attuning to the most important piece. I want to speak to the lack of support that mothers have experienced for a long time. And every time I'm going through a moment of difficulty, meaning he's having a tantrum, and so my nervous system is like, whoa, it makes me think about what my mother experienced, what my grandmother experienced, with what any woman in my ancestry has experienced without the tools that I have now, and it's still hard. And it makes me think about, and it's not just moms, it's parents, but managing, there are just so many things. Like, I have a business and a job career that I absolutely love. I get to wake up every day and do what I want. I have an abundance of wealth and money, and it's still difficult. I have access to spiritual information and resources, and in the moments where there are tantrums and unavoidable experiences, it's still difficult. So there has been a cracking open of compassion for what the generations before us have experienced, as opposed to judging or resenting or, wishing that they would have gotten it right. They were working with what they had, and that it's pulled me into a reverence for the role that is parenthood. It is complete sacrifice.
Wow. And sacrifice is actually something that, we might normally associate with something negative. Like, oh, I have to sacrifice some of my, time playing basketball for X amount of things. So if we can go deeper in there around how you've reframed sacrifice, I'm really curious to know that.
It's a sacred sacrifice, and it's spiritual maturity. Because when your life is just about you, there's a degree of selfishness that goes into that, but you don't experience it as selfishness because there's nothing outside of you that requires a devotional level of attention. So this is why we have the rite of passage from the maiden into, or is it the maid into the maiden, or the girl into the woman, the boy into the man? They are sacred rites of passage because you shift out of being a singular life is about me, and then you evolve into being a contributing member of society, of a collective, right? Through tending to your child, raising them, because they're going to become a part of society. I think it's a real tangible experience of oneness that can only happen through having a child, or there are other ways in life that this type of devotional energy can show up, but that's been my experience.
Yeah. And of course, every child is different, right? We come with our personalities and our quirks. But is there any qualities that you're seeing emerging in your son that you feel define the next human template that is going to be inhabiting the next iterations of humanity and Earth?
The communication style. So he can send me telepathic images. A lot of our communication is telepathic. I can just feel him. I can just feel what he needs. It could be the tone of a cry, and I go, that cry is a little bit different. Or it could be, let's say I'm sort of off focus and he's needing something, and then it's like I can feel it being dropped through my third eye. So that's what I'm experiencing. I mean, he's still extremely young, but on the psychic level, they are extremely psychically sensitive and aware. Another thing is being overly stimulated, right? So if, let's say, the TV's too loud, or if for a while it would be if we're around too many people, or if we're in a restaurant, the irritation and the needing to go outside or go for a walk. So they are just extremely intuitive and highly, highly sensitive. Small things that you're not thinking about can be irritants because they're so existing in that pure field of frequency.
I've also seen that in my own friends that have opened themselves up to these realities. and truths within themselves that the overstimulation part is very prevalent. One thing I've heard over and over again is neurodivergent. And there's more people in our generation defining themselves as neurodivergent than ever. Could you speak into that, or as to why maybe that overstimulation is happening more and more in people that are younger?
So as the vibration raises, all of the psychic instruments pick up on more expansive octaves of frequency. So that's thoughts, that's sound waves, it's feelings, it's emotions. So there's a higher degree of feeling and sensing everything. So like my husband, who channels the Akashic records, he can literally hear people's thoughts. So if we're around, like if we're in a group setting for too long, he's like, okay, this is overwhelming. If let's say we travel somewhere and we're visiting a particular land, the frequency of that land can be so overwhelming that it might destabilize him for like a day until he calibrates to it, because he's like, I'm feeling the ancestors on the land, I'm seeing giants, it's overwhelming. So as you open up your psychic bandwidth, it's sort of like Alice in the Wonderland, right? All these dimensions start opening up to you. So you're not just living in this reality. You're holding them all simultaneously. So as you can imagine, we have to do a lot of recalibration in this household with everyone being psychic.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I know, and I definitely resonate with a lot of that, especially with just sensitivity to people's emotions. Mine comes more so like I could be in a space and I can just instantly pick up when the frequency changes in someone's emotional body, and it's like, whoa, like what, like, are you okay? And perks of being a Cancer, right? Feeling everyone's emotions. But one thing I was just thinking about, as you told, the example of your husband and even yourself, psychic abilities are very much in the spiritual and emotional and mental realms. And I think these calibrations are really happening on the level of the body. So do you feel that our bodies also are going to be needing to change or upgrade, or something needs to happen to the human body template in order to keep up with these frequencies?
Absolutely. The body is an instrument. So we have our psychic senses that sort of act as antennas that pick up on frequency, but the body in its entirety is this instrument. It's sort of like if you want the keys on a piano to play in an appropriate range, it needs a tune-up to be able to keep that sound vibration clear. It's the same thing for our bodies. They have to upgrade, they become denser. Also, it's the light body, which is connected to the aura. So the aura is recalibrating and shifting for you to hold different vibrations and calibrations. So yeah, the body's always upgrading. Like, you got a virus. Synchronistically, I got a virus around the same time. Like, this was happening over the last 2 weeks. And I did a lot of purging. And I recognized that after, I was vibrating so much higher. Like, it was almost like my gut brain needed to be fully emptied. And that was a part of the body attunement for this next phase in my life, where I have to hold so much more. I have a staff now, a whole team of employees. I have a whole building to manage, a whole new set of responsibilities. So the nervous system has been calibrating to hold that, but also other areas in my body have needed to become less dense to keep up with the frequency of even the transformation that this space is going to ripple out into the field. So that's going to continue to happen for all of us. So the body might do weird things, like you might get a rash, or a lot of people get exhaustion, or a lot of people get, they're doing a lot of sleeping, or, these types of things. It's normal.
Yeah. For me, I'll just share personally for a moment. During that virus, it was around 2 weeks almost. And there was 1 or 2 days where I completely lost my voice. My tonsils were so inflamed that I couldn't speak. And then I had to cancel 3 podcasts that I had that week. And the next one that I did after that, which was one with Regina Meredith, and people could probably tell I was just getting my voice back, and I still am, but it made me realize the actual power that our voice has.
Oh, yes.
By losing it and by actually hearing my voice not at its normal calibration, it just showed me like, hey, because this is going to be a lot of year where I know I'm going to start bringing through more of my messages as well. It almost felt like my voice needed to be changed or upgraded in a certain way. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the power of our voice.
I'm seeing more of your soul's energy come through the power of your voice, which makes complete sense. You're getting ready to expand into sharing more of your message, your truth as a teacher, in combination with being a podcaster or interviewer. You're shifting into a different version of spiritual leadership that requires a new octave of voice. So I actually see higher frequencies of light codes emanating. So the these vocal cords, I'm seeing all these vocal cords, they needed to adjust to hold the new tone that comes through. Anytime I've gone through a major upgrade, my voice changes as well.
Yeah, I often joke because I started the podcast at 21 and my voice is so different than what it was. But I was like, it could either have been the puberty or the recalibration activations that we're talking about here. Interestingly enough, my voice actually used to be deeper. I used to project it out in a deeper way. And it just, when I listen back, it just doesn't feel like my authentic self and voice coming through at the time. I had an interesting question for you.
Okay.
What part of yourself did you once judge that you now see as a gift?
It's so funny because this happened before we started recording, and I was like, I'm not trying to be a diva, I promise, but I think my lighting could be a little bit better. Before I stepped into this work, I thought people would experience me as being not spiritual enough, just in my outward presentation. And what actually happened was that so many people needed to have that example. I've always been a very integrated person from the beginning of my awakening. Like the message that my guides gave me was, you're perfect as you are. You don't need to look a particular way. You don't need to, on that front, right? On a materialistic sense, everything is spiritual to us. But I had this belief that people would judge me or not understand me. So fast forward 4 years later, here we are, and we're still rocking and rolling.
Yeah, because I feel like spirituality also is starting to look in many different forms, not how it looked like in maybe past moments of history where it was the gowns, or I think you mentioned even like the shaved head or whatever it is. Like, what does actual spiritual expression look like to you in your life?
It's everything. I don't believe that there is even a such thing truly as spiritual expression, because living and being and breathing is a spiritual occurrence. The breath is spirit. It's the spirit that animates and oxidizes your body that allows you to be alive. You are spirit. Even if you're not consciously aware that you are spirit, you are spirit. So everything is spiritual to me. When I have a glass of wine, that is spiritual to me. When I'm watching Dave Chappelle, that is spiritual to me. When I meditate, that is spiritual to me. Every single experience in my life, I am having a spiritual moment in time.
Yeah.
And what's so important about getting to that place of integration is you start believing that source is only over here, but not also over here. So then you experience that living intelligence, loving presence in your life all the time, no matter where you are. You could be in a bar, you could be at the movies. You're like, source is right here with me right now, having this moment.
Yeah, this also, what we're saying, what we're speaking into might be a little uncomfortable for some to hear, but I also came to that realization when I started my awakening. I started categorizing things as spiritual and non-spiritual. It was this extreme left and right. And, you know, things such as, just to give an example, a drop of alcohol is not spiritual. I should just get away from that. Yep. If I get even close to a nightclub, I need to stay away from that. And now I feel like speaking into as well spiritual maturity, you and I are speaking into this notion of we're able to see all aspects of existence as having inherently that essence of spirituality, and spirit living through this human experience, wanting to have those human incarnated experiences, wanting to have the piece of chocolate, wanting to sometimes have Prosecco, or go out with friends, or do all of these other very 3D worldly things. I feel like that's when our spirit is happiest, because it gets to experience the totality.
It's the experience.
It's what it is, right? The game.
You know, I met a stripper at an Abraham Hicks event.
Shout out.
just to put in context of, you know, sources getting to everyone that needs it and is not judging anything anytime.
Yeah.
So why should we? Why should we?
It also shatters this notion of, when I first started awakening, I wanted to, you know, bring people all on the bus with me and drive together. And there was this force in that, this trying. What happens when we stop trying to bring people with us into these understandings or these experiences of reality?
Something really magical happens. You experience the beauty of who they are right now. A lot of the times, you know, it's interesting. I prefer to be in non-spiritual places because there's no performance. Sometimes when you go into like extremely spiritual spaces, like healing centers, like the one I'm opening, you know, but, you know, people are all like, you know, I'm spiritual, and there's almost like a relief to just be around some normal people sometimes who are just being themselves without feeling like there's like a particular way to be. But you want to get to a point, we all should strive to get to a point where we could sit down and we could have a conversation with anybody and we think, wow, what an amazing being, or that we can extract that goodness from them. We don't need them to change. We don't need them to agree with what we agree with. We don't need them to meditate with us. We don't need them to do any of the things. But we can still experience goodness from them. If I leave my house today, I can experience the best of every person truly, because that's what I'm choosing to see in them. And have the best time and the greatest laughs. That's spiritual maturity and integration, and not needing everyone to look, think, or be the way that you think they should be.
Yeah. When we stop judging, everything opens up to us because we start to see the world around us in such a different light. Erin, we end every episode with a segment called The Final Trio, which are some questions we'd like to ask at the end. Before we get into that, for someone that wants to go down the rabbit hole into the Erin Lyons universe and explore your work, what you have going on, these beautiful teachings, and also now a physical space, where would you send people to learn more about that?
ErinLyonsOfficial.com or SourceSanctuaryStudio.com.
I love the name. I love the name.
Source Sanctuary. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. All right. So we'll include everything down in the show notes. And these last few questions are personalized to every guest. The first one I had for you is, what is the most important thing to remember as our reality reshapes itself around us?
There's no wrong or bad choice. I know we spoke about choice earlier. Even if you continue to make the same choice that doesn't necessarily serve your highest happiness, there's still growth and learning that can come from that choice. And removing the shame from every decision, every experience you've ever had in this lifetime is a jump start to getting to where you want to go. Because if you have shame and you judge yourself, you subconsciously believe that you're not worthy to experience something new. Make peace with it all.
Oh my God, this ties in. Sometimes I'm like in awe of how in the conversation, what I had planned sometimes just lines up. The next question I had is, what truth did you have to make peace with internally?
Wow.
Before you could live this work publicly?
The synchronicity and how that just flowed is incredible. What truth did I have? Oh, okay. I had to make peace with the truth that this is who I am. I'm a messenger, I'm a teacher, I'm a channeler. And for a while before I stepped out of the spiritual closet, I was afraid of being too much. I think the power of the truth can overwhelm us. What will people say? What will they think? How will they respond when I vibrate in such truth that it will reveal something to them? And there's also a sense of responsibility that comes with that, or even who am I to be that? Why me? So I think for a long time, I just thought, why me? Why me? And now I just embrace because it is. And I honor it and I cherish it. And it means everything to me. So I'm no longer in, or as Source calls it with me, they say you're no longer struggling with yourself.
No resistance into your calling.
Yeah.
And to fully close the loop on that, if you could speak to the part of you that first heard the call to this work, what would you tell her now?
You can never truly know the ripple effect of saying yes. It's exponential. And what I mean by that is every single day someone is telling me, oh, you said this thing in this video, or this piece of information. And for me, it's like my memory has been wiped. I don't even remember it. They're playing it in the car. They're playing it at home in their deepest, darkest moments. And I think, wow, if I would have said no, how many people potentially could still be stuck? So if anybody feels like, and it could be any type of calling, not spiritual work, any type of calling, all callings are special, cherished, and important to the collective unfolding happening here. I want you to really think about, what is the ripple effect of me saying yes, and then feel it in your body. Allow spirit to show you all of the light that you will create by saying yes.
Wow. As you were saying that, I heard your yes is your most underestimated power, and your no is your most powerful superpower. because when you say yes, you're also saying no to all of these things as well. You said no to your life as a wealth manager, right? Yeah. You said no to your life in many different aspects. Sometimes you say no to other people, to relationships, but ultimately it comes back to a yes for yourself. So, Erin, just wanted to honor you for saying that yes at the start of this, and for continuing with such presence and power. I also wanted to thank you. If it wasn't for Erin, I don't know if this channel would still be here. So you are the reason why we're here, why we're having this conversation.
I don't want to take all the credit, right? I just played my part. I was just a co-creator, right? I don't want to take all the credit, but I want to honor you as well for your yes, all of the light, truth, and information that you spread to people across the world. Thank you for being who you are as well.
So much love, and I can't wait to visit your center and see you and get to meet you for the first time in person.
Right, we've got to meet in person. Yeah.
Much love. Thank you so much. Till next time.
Thank you. Bye, guys.